everyone, it's your girl here, back with another video. My name is Kathleen Inspires. I do all fun different types of videos on this channel. I do beauty, fashion, organizing, piano, and plus I encourage you girls. So if that is something you would like, then make sure to subscribe, hit that little bell so you can get notified when I upload a new video. Today, we are going to do a different video. I have Mr. Clay here. You already met him in my very first video that we have done together. He's also is my piano teacher, and I'm going to ask him to share his story. And then at the end, I will ask a few questions and the outro. So, Mr. Clay.
How are you? It's so good to
good.
be here. And I just want to say thank you for having me. It's such an honor. And I'm just sitting here looking at all that you have accomplished, including, man, just doing this is not an easy thing. And I am just so impressed. And, you know, the thing that's always inspired me about you and your channel's name is very, very properly and appropriately named, because you just have conquered and you have overcome so many things. And so to me, this is just a tremendous honor.
It's an honor for you to be here too. So,
Where would you like to start?
why don't you share your story, and then I will ask you some questions.
Well, my name is Clay Collins, and I was born with a very rare, extremely rare eye condition called, there's two of them actually. There's one that's high myopia and another one that's called nystagmus. The high myopia, it's partly due to the optic nerve and the way the optic nerve views things. So it's not necessarily a problem with my eyes, but it does affect my vision pretty dramatically. And then nystagmus is where sometimes you might notice where my eyes shake a little bit, and that's uncontrollable. I can't do anything about it. And sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But all that to say, I was born with this disability that left me pretty challenged in everyday life, because when I was a kid, like now I can actually see pretty good, but when I was a kid, if I were to read like a card, I'd have to bring it like really close to my eyes. And if I wanted to examine something, I'd have to bring it like really close. So a lot of times my experience of the world was looking at things very closely. Now, thankfully with time and technology, I have embedded lenses into my eyes where I actually can see a whole lot more than I ever could. It's crazy. A lot of people, their vision decreases as they get older, but for me, it's actually gotten better. And at a very early age, a friend of my father's noticed that when I played on toy pianos, I didn't just bang on them like a lot of young children do, that I was actually trying to make chords and harmonies, and I was playing melodies. And so they said, you need to get that kid into piano lessons. And so that's the rest is history. I started piano lessons at the age of 6, and I continued for about 12 years. In fact, I was a 10-year graduate of the Junior and National Piano Guild, which is a pretty rare honor. Not very many people get to that point. Most people quit after a couple years, and so that was a great thing. But I realized that at a young age that music was a passion, and while I didn't end up becoming a classical pianist, music has been a very, very centerpiece of my life, and it has allowed me to do a lot of amazing things, like lead worship at amazing places like Gateway Church, and it's also allowed me to train and mentor other people like Lauren here, and I really do love that. So it's been a real gift and privilege to be able to make a living and spend my whole life doing what I love, which is mentoring and doing music.
So, first question, what are some challenges you have had in your life, and how did you handle them?
Well, I've had a few challenges. I'd say one of the bigger challenges is that I couldn't do things, like especially at a young age, I couldn't do things that other kids were able to do. Like I wanted to ride a bicycle, but I couldn't see very well, and I wanted to skateboard, and I couldn't do that very well. But I was able to come up with solutions, you know. So while it might have looked really hysterical, when I rode a bicycle, I wore a football helmet with the mouth guard and everything. I looked absolutely ridiculous, but I made a decision that no matter how ridiculous I looked, I wanted to do things that everybody else did. And one odd thing that a lot of people don't know about me is that I actually learned how to ride a unicycle. And so I was this 10-year-old blind kid just riding his unicycle around the neighborhood, and everybody always kind of looked at me like, you are the strangest kid I've ever seen, but that's awesome. You learn how to, ride a unicycle. And that was one. I'd say as an adult, not being able to drive is a huge challenge. And so I come up with solutions. I'm like, if I need to get somewhere, I'll figure it out, whether it's getting on a public transit, or I've had various electric vehicles that are legal for me to ride, and so I'm able to commute and ride on safe roads. And so I like you, Lauren. I find that if there's a challenge, there's probably a way around it. And so I never looked at the world as, well, I can't do that, so I guess that's the end of that. I'm like, well, let me see what adjustments I can make to be able to do that.
That's really good. What helped you the most when you were facing these challenges?
That's a great question. And I would say for me, that what helped and helps me the most, and I think this is really important, is that you need to have people around you. And this is where, if you happen to know anybody that has a disability, like Lauren and I have different types of disabilities, but if you happen to know anybody that struggles, one thing that you can do for them is be an encouragement in their life. Don't assume that they can't do something. Approach it like there are certain things I obviously can't do. Like rock climbing and skydiving is probably not in my future, but there's a lot of things that I can do. Actually, I know a lot of blind skydivers, but anyway, but you get the point. But I think for me, what really helped me the most is having people, even just one person that says, you can do this. I for years, I always wanted to paint. Not like art paint. I'm talking like paint the house or paint a room. And I was never allowed to do that until one day somebody says, hey, grab a paintbrush and do this. I'm like, are you sure you want me to do this? I may not do a good job. And they said, well, if you don't do a good job, you just touch it up. Like whatever, just get to work. And I actually found that I was pretty good at painting. Yeah. I started on the edge. And what I realized is that even though I can't see, I'm very detail oriented. So there's a part of me that offsets the vision that I go very slowly. And I ended up I remember trimming the trim on this guy's room, and he's like, that's the best trim job I've ever seen. And I didn't even tape it off. I was just like, I didn't even do the things you're supposed to do, like taping it off. Like I just was slow and steady. And so people for me have always been the biggest encouragement. And so when I believe that I can do something, I just assume that I can and just figure out a way. And so I'd say just people believing in me was the biggest help for me.
Wow. What advice would you give others who face challenges?
Well, I've heard you say this, and I say it too, is don't give up. I think we as humans, we know what our actual limitations, and I'm not one of those people that I can do anything I put my mind to. Like, I'm not that. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that you might assume that you can't do, or somebody else might assume that you can't do, when actually you can. And of course, in the area where there's no safety involved. I mean, obviously I need to be safe, you know, but like, a lot of people don't feel like I should ride on the road. Well, I've done it for years and I've never had an incident with another vehicle. It's because I compensate with being extra safe. I wear safe gear. I know how to stay on the shoulder to be safe. So I would just say, don't limit yourself to your disability. Don't let the disability or the challenge or whatever you're facing, don't let that be the defining condition. Assume that there's also something in you that's greater than that disability that can overcome it. And just don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah. I have seen Lauren here. I mean, you're sitting here getting to experience the result of all of her hard work. I mean, if anybody's ever tried to make a YouTube video, when I first started doing any kind of work in front of a camera, it's extremely difficult. And I was blown away at how much of a natural she was at it. She's just a natural. And if you know anything about her particular challenge, she struggles with mind stuff and like it's a like how would you describe it? Like
difficulties, like
difficulty with just cognitive things in the brain. Yeah, exactly. But you have overcome all of that, and you're able to again and again get in front of a camera and talk to potentially hundreds or thousands of people, and that is that is there's literally millions of people who don't have a disability that would never even imagine doing that. And so I would say, like, be inspired by what you see people that are overcomers. Be inspired by them and know that you are also an overcomer. You can overcome your challenges. I think that's what this channel is all about. It's why when Lauren told me about being able to share, and when she told me about when she wanted to even create this channel, I was so excited because I'm like, the world needs more of that type of content. And so I'm just like super excited, and I love that there are people like Lauren that can continue to show us that you don't have to hold yourself back. There's nothing that you can't do if you don't put your mind to it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Clay. It's an honor for you to be here on my channel, and this is why I started this channel. Like Mr. Clay said, this is the main foundation. Yes, I did say in my intro I create all different types of videos, but this was the main goal, and this was the main foundation of this. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Remember, God loves you. Stay true who you are. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.